The Eastern Shoshone people have called the American West home for centuries. Their ancestral lands stretched across a vast territory. This included parts of Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, and Nevada. This region is known as the Great Basin. It is a land of rugged mountains, arid valleys, and sparse vegetation. The Eastern Shoshone, or Newer, as they call themselves, were intimately connected to this challenging landscape. They were a people shaped by the land. They adapted to its rhythms and learned to thrive in its harsh embrace. The Great Basin provided everything the Eastern Shoshone needed for survival. This included food, shelter, and a deep spiritual connection to the natural world. The Eastern Shoshone were not a single unified tribe. They were organized into independent bands. These bands moved across the land. They followed the seasonal availability of food and resources. This nomadic lifestyle required a deep understanding of the environment. The Eastern Shoshone were keen observers. They knew the habits of animals. They knew where and when to find edible plants. This knowledge was passed down through generations. It was essential to their survival. The Eastern Shoshone were also skilled hunters and gatherers. They used their knowledge of the land to provide for their families. Their lives were a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The Eastern Shoshone thrived in a land many considered unforgiving. As summer turned to fall, the Eastern Shoshone would move to lower elevations. There they would hunt deer, elk, and other game. These hunts were not just about food, they were also important social and spiritual events. The Eastern Shoshone believed in respecting the animals they hunted. They used every part of the animal. Nothing was wasted. Winter was a time for storytelling and community. Families would gather together in their winter camps. They shared stories, songs, and dances. These gatherings helped to preserve their culture and traditions. They also provided a sense of community and belonging. The Eastern Shoshone lived in harmony with nature. They understood that their survival depended on the health of the land. They took only what they needed. They gave thanks for their blessings. Their way of life was a testament to the power of living in balance with the natural world. The arrival of horses, brought by Spanish explorers, transformed the lives of the Eastern Shoshone. Horses provided a new level of mobility and freedom. They allowed the Eastern Shoshone to travel farther. They could also carry heavier loads. This revolutionized their hunting practices and trade networks. The Eastern Shoshone became renowned horsemen. They were admired for their horsemanship. They could ride bareback and control their steeds with incredible skill. Horses became integral to their way of life. They were used for hunting, transportation, and even warfare. Hunting, a cornerstone of Eastern Shoshone life, became more efficient with the introduction of horses. They could cover more ground. This allowed them to track and hunt bison, a primary source of food and hides. The Eastern Shoshone developed unique hunting techniques. These techniques were well suited for the open plains. This new mobility also impacted trade. The Eastern Shoshone could now travel greater distances to trade with other tribes. This led to an exchange of goods, ideas, and cultural practices. The horse, once a foreign element, became an inseparable part of the Eastern Shoshone identity. It symbolized freedom, strength, and their deep connection to the land. European fur trappers seeking valuable pelts entered Shoshone territory. They traded goods like metal tools, firearms, and blankets. These were things the Eastern Shoshone desired. However, this trade also brought conflict. There were misunderstandings over land use and resources. This sowed the seeds of future tensions. The arrival of settlers in greater numbers brought even greater challenges. Settlers brought with them diseases. These diseases were new to the Eastern Shoshone. They had no immunity to them. Smallpox, measles, and influenza ravaged their communities. These diseases caused widespread death and suffering. Competition for resources intensified as settlers claimed land for farming and ranching. This encroached on traditional Eastern Shoshone hunting grounds. This encroachment led to conflict and displacement. The Eastern Shoshone, facing overwhelming odds, found themselves fighting to protect their lands. Their way of life was under threat. Section 5. Broken Promises and Shifting Sands. As more settlers moved westward, pressure mounted on the US government to secure land for them. This led to a series of treaties with Native American tribes. These treaties were often negotiated from a position of power. They rarely reflected the best interests of the tribes involved. In 1863, the US government signed the Treaty of Fort Bridger with the Eastern Shoshone. This treaty established a reservation for their tribe in western Wyoming. However, the treaty was immediately violated. The government reduced the size of the reservation. This happened just a few years later. This betrayal forced the Eastern Shoshone onto a smaller and less desirable territory. The Wind River Reservation, as it became known, was shared with the Northern Arapaho. This further strained resources. The once vast hunting grounds of the Eastern Shoshone were reduced. They were confined to a fraction of their former territory. This forced them to adapt to a new way of life. The Eastern Shoshone, once free to roam, were now confined to the reservation.
Section 6. Chief Washakie, a leader in a time of change.
Amidst the upheaval and uncertainty of the 18th century, one leader emerged as a beacon of hope for the Eastern Shoshone Chief Washakie. Known for his wisdom, diplomacy, and bravery, Washakie guided his people through a turbulent era. He fought tirelessly to protect their rights and preserve their way of life.
Washakie understood that the arrival of settlers had irrevocably changed the landscape. He advocated for peace and cooperation, believing it was the best way to ensure the survival of his people. He negotiated with the US government, seeking to secure a permanent home for the Eastern Shoshone. His efforts led to the establishment of the Wind River Reservation.
Washakie's leadership extended beyond diplomacy. He was a skilled warrior who led his warriors in battle, defending their territory from encroaching settlers and rival tribes. He earned the respect of both his people and his adversaries, known for his fairness and courage.
Chief Washakie's legacy is one of resilience, adaptation, and unwavering dedication to his people. He understood the challenges of his time and embraced change while holding on to the core values of his culture. He remains a revered figure in Eastern Shoshone history, a symbol of their enduring spirit.
Section 7. Life on the Wind River Reservation. The Wind River Reservation, nestled in the shadows of the Wind River Mountains, became the new home of the Eastern Shoshone. Life on the reservation was a stark departure from their traditional nomadic ways. They were confined to a smaller territory and faced the challenges of adapting to a sedentary lifestyle. The US government, as part of its assimilation policies, encouraged the Eastern Shoshone to embrace farming. This was a foreign concept to a people accustomed to hunting and gathering. However, they adapted, learning to cultivate crops and raise livestock. Despite the challenges, the Eastern Shoshone persevered. They maintained their strong sense of community, continued to practice their traditions, and honored their ancestors. The reservation became a place where their culture could endure. They adapted to their new reality while holding on to their identity. Life on the reservation was not without its struggles. Poverty, limited economic opportunities, and cultural discrimination persisted. However, the Eastern Shoshone faced these challenges with the same resilience they had shown throughout their history. They continued to fight for self-determination, preserving their language, their ceremonies, and their way of life.
Section 8. Keeping traditions alive, the Eastern Shoshone today.
Today, the Eastern Shoshone continue to make the Wind River Reservation their home. They have faced numerous challenges over the years, but they have never wavered in their commitment to preserving their culture and traditions.
The Eastern Shoshone language, once on the verge of extinction, is experiencing a revival. Language programs have been established to teach the language to younger generations, ensuring that their words and stories continue to be passed down.
Traditional crafts, such as beadwork, quillwork, and basket weaving, are also being revitalized. These crafts are not just art forms, they are tangible links to the past, a way to connect with our ancestors and share our heritage with the world.
Powwows and other cultural events are held throughout the year, bringing the community together to celebrate their shared history and pass on their traditions to younger generations. The Eastern Shoshone are determined to keep their culture alive, ensuring that their story continues to be told.
Section 9. A Legacy of Resilience.
The story of the Eastern Shoshone is one of remarkable resilience. From their ancient origins in the Great Basin to their forced relocation to the Wind River Reservation, they have faced numerous challenges and hardships. Yet through it all, they have maintained their cultural identity and emerged stronger.
Their story is a testament to the strength of the human spirit. It is a reminder of the importance of cultural preservation and the power of adaptation in the face of adversity. The Eastern Shoshone continue to fight for their rights, their land, and their future.
They are determined to create a brighter future for their children and grandchildren, ensuring that their legacy of resilience lives on. They are an inspiration to us all. Hail Shoshone!